This is wonderful. So our Visionary Leaders Legacy Forum is presented by Legacy Bridge Private Family Offices. And to tell us a little bit more about Legacy Bridge, I'd like to bring to the podium Tim Cadlick. So Tim.
I'm not going to try and tell a joke because I was told about how funny Greg is. So it's like, I'm not going to try and keep up with that. But you know you're getting old when you need to have your glasses on to be able to read the comments. But good afternoon, and thank you, Catherine. I'd also like to thank all of you for joining us today for this exciting series of events. My name's Tim Cadlick. I'm the Chief Investment Officer with Legacy Bridge Private Family Offices. We are proud to sponsor the speaker series and support the outstanding lineup Catherine has curated for everyone. The schedule includes a number of impactful and inspiring leaders, and we hope you'll continue to join us for these valuable sessions. At Legacy Bridge, we were founded about a decade ago on the mission to challenge the status quo and fill a void in the market. We pick up the slack where other firms kind of left off, and we help our families navigate the complexities of their financial lives, allowing them to focus really on what's important and what's passionate to them. So without being too long-winded, I will like to say again, thank you for coming today and enjoy our program.
Well, on behalf of the entire West Des Moines Chamber team and family, thank you again for being here. And a lot of people may not know this, and it's a fact I like to shout out loud and proud, but 30% of our members, 30% are not in a West Des Moines zip code. So we go everywhere, and people want to be part of the growth. Ryan mentioned some exciting new projects that are happening in West Des Moines. People want to be part of that growth. They want to be part of the magic of West Des Moines and the magic of the West Des Moines Chamber. So we're so excited. All right, I am excited to introduce Greg Edwards. I have several pages of introductions here. So, okay, everybody ready? Drum roll. All right, Greg Edwards has over 40 years of hospitality experience. He began as president and CEO of the Greater Des Moines Convention and Visitors Bureau in 2000. Previously, he led convention and visitors bureaus in Peoria, Illinois, Lovett, and Overland Park, Kansas. He is a recipient of numerous awards, including Manager of the Year with Marriott Hotels. He has been recognized by his industry peers with the Individual Professionalism Award, as well as served as chair of the board for Destinations International, which is an international professional association for convention and visitors bureaus. Greg has championed many accomplishments while in the Des Moines region. He was recognized, he reorganized the Des Moines Area Sports Commission, can't wait to hear about that, and his team has more than tripled convention, sports, and event bookings since 2000. That's phenomenal. He, along with a strong team of his peers and team, led the charge of hosting the NCAA Wrestling Championships, the NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament rounds 1 and 2, 3 times, soon to be 4, and most recently the AAU Junior Olympic Games, which is the largest youth sports event in the entire nation. Incredible. Greg serves on numerous boards, including past chair of the Iowa Travel Industry Partners, Principal Charity Classic, which we just enjoyed, and the executive board for Icon, Water Trails, yes, and the Greater Des Moines Partnership, to name a few. He attended the University of Northern Colorado, joined Sigma Alpha Epsilon, and was president in 1976. He is married, he mentioned Joni. He has 4 children and 5 grandchildren, not as much as Norm, but you're catching up. So help me with a warm introduction. Greg Edwards, president and CEO of Catch Des Moines.
I do want to thank Therese for your kind comments. That was very, very nice of you. And also want to recognize a fellow Legacy Award winner of mine, Mr. Wes Ericke. Wes and I were both honored with the Legacy Award from the Iowa Tourism Conference a couple months ago. But Wes has been a very good friend of mine, done an awesome job running the Gaming Association, and has become a really good friend of mine. So God bless you. And lots of other good friends in the room too. So I really thought only about 2 people would show up for this thing, but so thank you for especially some of the newcomers too, and Bridget too. So yeah, just some of my past work history. You can see I started out in the liquor business, still kind of in the liquor business. Haven't had a drop in a week though. Then I got into the hotel business back in my hometown of Peoria, and then was transferred to the beautiful Waterloo Holiday Inn. I opened that hotel back in 1983. I got there in 82. Was pre-opening director of sales. Young guy. Moved then to Des Moines in 83. Met my wife Joni. Got married in 85. Then we got transferred from Marriott to Overland Park, Kansas. We had 4 kids in 5 years. I married a Catholic girl. I converted to Catholicism, and I learned very quickly that the Pope did not allow birth control. And the rhythm method just didn't work out very well for us. So that's my excuse there. Anyway, after about 7 years with Marriott, I would come home and my wife would be holding 3 of the 4 kids, and 3 of them are still in diapers. And she said, "Honey, I don't know if this hotel business thing is really going to work out for you or for us." And I said, "Yeah, what am I going to do? I mean, not that bright." And I didn't know what I was going to do. So thankfully, God had a plan. The Overland Park Convention and Visitors Bureau had an opening, a new job creation called Director of Marketing, which is kind of the number 2 position there. So I applied. Of course, I knew those folks anyway, and he got the job there, and that kind of began my career in the Convention and Visitors Bureau world. Several years later, then my boss in Overland Park, of all things that have happened, strange things that have happened in my life, he called me in his office. Great man. Learned a lot from him. And he said, "Greg, I'm going to resign my position here." I said, where are you going? Thinking he's going to some corporate job. He said, "Well, I'm going to become a minister." Like, whoa, that's a different move for idiots like me in this industry. So anyway, that's what he did. So I obviously applied for the job, didn't get it. They hired a much older man than me at the time, who had years and years of experience, and he got canned a year and a half later. But so I thought, well, heck, I'm going to start looking. Well, then my hometown of Peoria, Illinois, I saw the job had opened up there. I thought, gosh, I never thought I'd move back to Peoria, but ended up applying, got the job in Peoria, moved back to Peoria in 94. My father had passed away in 1990. My mom still had the house, but she was getting ready to move to Florida where my sister lives. And I said, don't sell the house. So bought the house in Peoria, which is the house I grew up in. Also had 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, same as my kids. My boys grew up in my brother in my bedroom, and my girls grew up in their aunt's bedrooms. And so it was great. We spent 7 years then in Peoria. Then I got a call from a headhunter. Still had a lot of connections in Des Moines from my Des Moines years with the CVB and others. And a headhunter called and said, "How'd you like to interview for the CEO job in Des Moines?" I said, pretty happy in Peoria. A lot of good things are going here. And they kept pressuring me. I said, fine, I'll come over and interview. I came over, interviewed, and got the job. Tough move for us. And my wife, who's from Des Moines, all along said, "Honey, I love Peoria. I love it here. Whatever you want to do, your decision." Well, it was a good decision. So I moved to Des Moines in 2000. And, you look back at Des Moines in 2000, not a lot of things happening. It was kind of a dreary city. The joke of the day was the sidewalks roll up at 5 o'clock. Everybody goes out to the burbs. All convention-wise, we had the old convention center, which is now the Wellmark YMCA downtown. And then we had Vets Auditorium, built in 1954, also known as the Barn. But still hosted a lot of the high school tournaments and a lot of the big stuff that happened in Des Moines at the time. But not a lot of other stuff going. Well, within, I think, about the first 3 months of the job, I get a call from Polk County, and they said, "Hey, we need you to come over for a meeting." And so I sit in on this meeting, and they're talking about, we're thinking about building a new arena downtown. I said, okay. And we're also thinking about expanding off of Vets Auditorium, a new conference center, convention center. Great. So now things are starting to roll. Of course, then Governor Vilsack at the time created this new fund to help fund a lot of these major projects in Iowa. And lo and behold, the Iowa Event Center was born and really just started to re-change the whole downtown area of Des Moines. Shortly thereafter, West Des Moines was starting to boom. I got a call from the pre-opening director of marketing of this thing called Jordan Creek Town Center, and started working with them on this project out here. And I mean, look what happened to West Des Moines, but the whole area just started to blossom, not only downtown Des Moines with all the new things that were added there too. The Science Center of Iowa, of course, was downtown, the new library, the World Food Prize moved into the old library space. East Village, which was basically a hellhole, for many, many years, all of a sudden started to become a vibrant place. West Des Moines is booming. Altoona is putting in a new Bass Pro Shop, and they're starting to boom. Ankeny is growing. I mean, everywhere you looked, things were just happening. And that's primarily because of me coming here in 2000. Right. Ooh, I could sell you guys some crap, but so that's just a kind of a quick scenario there. You kind of know our real mission is to increase visitors to the metro area. Visitors being conventions, sports, meetings, bus tours, leisure travelers, on and on and on. We create a lot of this different stuff: quality of life, strong economy, jobs, arts and culture, city prestige, all that good kind of stuff. And, you look back to 2000, and people were kind of embarrassed when they were on an airplane and people said, "Where are you from?" And they just kind of go, Des Moines, or back then they probably pronounced it Des Moines. And they were kind of ashamed, of Iowa and Des Moines. And obviously, a lot of things have changed since then. Just quick recap. This is from last fiscal. We finished our fiscal year this year. We'll beat these numbers by far this year. But last fiscal, we touched 393 different events, conventions that came in. 261 of those were those that we really started from the very beginning with the sales process, booked it, brought it in, serviced it while I was here. And then 300 future conventions and meetings and sporting events were booked. Lots and lots of future economic impact and current impact. Just some knowledge about the area. So we're now at about 13,800 hotel rooms around the metro. I go back to probably 2008. We had about 7,000 hotel rooms. So we've almost doubled really since 2008. They continue to get built. And that's a good sign of the times too, that things are strong. People ask, what's the largest group you can bring in? Well, we say we can bring in about anything. You look at stuff like the NCAA, which brings in about 20,000 people over the course of the basketball tournament. But they're staying in not only in hotels, but Airbnbs. They're staying with families. But we can actually block 5,000 hotel rooms out of the 13,000. So a hotel's not going to give you all their rooms when you bring in a major convention or sporting event. But we can do about everything. National Speech and Debate, which was just here last week, 7,000 plus kids, plus their parents, plus their coaches. Estimated over 10,000 people were in town over that 7-day period, staying in hotels and again, Airbnbs. Some of them camp. Some of them have relatives and things like that they stay with as well. So 75 plus annual events draw more than 5,000 people annually. We've got 23 different convention hotels in the area. Our flights into Des Moines obviously has increased dramatically. And that was another downturn when I got here too. People would say, now we can't come to Des Moines, too expensive to fly there, or we can't get there, or whatever. Now we've got over 30 direct flights to 30 different cities across the nation. So that's been a huge impact. The new airport is also going to have really, really huge dividends for everyone in the area as we move forward. Venue wise in the metro, another huge plus. I had met with, back at the time, Mayor Gare and Russ Trimble, who was a councilman at the time, and they'd get on me about, what are you doing for West Des Moines? And I'd say, guys, other than, overflow from the large stuff coming into Des Moines, and people are still coming and shopping at Jordan Creek and what have you, and using your venues, but you don't really have something that we can book, a convention or event out here, other than your bigger hotels, the Marriott or the Sheraton or some of those places. And they didn't quite understand that. Well, lo and behold, they built this little thing called the Mid-American Recplex. Within the first year, we booked 16 different events into that facility. Everything from NAIA wrestling championships to AAU Junior Olympics, on and on and on. And we use that facility all the time. Sports-wise, sports is about 45% now of the total bookings that we do a year. When I got here in 2000, we had just hired our first sports salesperson. And people are thinking, well, why would you need a sports salesperson? Well, you started recognizing all these youth and amateur sports that are out there. We didn't really have anybody out soliciting this kind of stuff. And now, you look at that world, and some of you that have young kids out there, you've got them in tumbling and cheerleading and wrestling and track and field and on and on and on. It's just incredible business, which we've taken advantage of that. Some of the major events this year that we've hosted, you can see everything from, again, a lot of sports groups like USA Gymnastics to cultural groups like the Kennedy Center for Theater, which has been here several times. That brings in about 1,300 college-age kids, theater majors, speech majors from across the country. They'll utilize venues downtown like Quick Sherman, the Civic Center, and other places, and do a lot of their competition and things like that. Of course, all the staples here, like World Pork Expo. World Pork Expo has been here, I guess, since the late 90s. And that's a piece of business that we don't take for granted. Any of the stuff we never take for granted, because Indianapolis is always on their backs saying, we'd love to have World Pork Expo in Indianapolis. Louisville's the same way. So we incentivize them to stay here, utilize the Iowa State Fairgrounds. This past year, they brought in, I think, 18,000 people during World Pork Expo, the 3-day period. So, and it's an international event as well. So great piece of business. Obviously, the ag market, very important to us. So our other markets, religious market, the medical market, education market, on and on and on. I'm trying to think of other major things. So I talked national speech and debate. The right now, currently, we did the opening ceremony Sunday morning, is the National Junior High School Rodeo Championships out at the fairgrounds. If you want to see something really cool, go out there. They have a show every night at 7 o'clock, and I think every morning at 9 o'clock. These are junior high kids, so 8th grade and below. Nicest kids you've ever met in your life. Everything's yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Very polite, very well raised. All over the country. There's all over the country plus 6 countries. I know Australia's here. People from Alaska. I think 46 different states are represented here. But really neat event. So check that out. Next month, we're going to host the National Senior Games that you probably heard on that video. National Senior Games now has about 12,600 registrants to come into the Des Moines Metro. It'll headquarter here at the Mid-American Recplex in West Des Moines. Everything, 26 different sports, 28 different venues, from golf to pickleball to shuffleboard, which I'll probably compete in that, to table tennis, and a lot of the Olympic sports as well. When we booked this several years ago, I'd asked the CEO of Senior Games, who are the oldest competitors? They said, well, this year we had a 96-year-old man running the 100-yard dash. I said, you are kidding me. How long did it take him? She said, about 45 seconds. Not bad, you know. So it's going to be a really, really cool event, and you're going to see the impact of that. We love that kind of event because a lot of the youth sports that comes in is great. They fill hotels, they'll hit the fast food restaurants and a lot of the restaurants around town, but they don't go out and drink much. Now the senior games folks are going to, they not only here to compete, but they'll be out having fun, and there'll be more of the, the Flemings or the some of the upscale restaurants and things like that. So it's going to be a really, really nice piece of business. What else? Anything else I need to highlight here? Probably not. Keep moving. So marketing wise, we talked a lot about the sales, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the sales process. But marketing wise, our marketing team does a great job too. Again, getting the word out about what a cool place Des Moines really is. Again, going way back, we started talking about doing more sales and marketing. And obviously our number one customer back in those days was the state of Iowa. People live in rural Iowa. People live in smaller towns in Iowa. They come to the big city, to the capital city, to shop, to have fun, to vacation, Adventureland, whatever. So we recognize that. So we really started boosting more money into our marketing department to do more advertising. Of course, back in the day, advertising was primarily television, radio, print ads, Midwest Living, newspaper, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff's changed dramatically too with social media and all the different things we do. But we now reach into the Omaha market heavily, Kansas City, Minneapolis, even into the Chicago market. Those of you that may be Cubs fans, if you listen to the Chicago Cubs radio network, you'll hear commercials from Catch Des Moines on there. The announcers give us live plugs. They'll talk about steak de Burgo. We'll send them stuff. We sent them actual steak de Burgo, steaks and the recipe to make it at home and stuff like that. And they'll talk about all the good kind of stuff in Iowa and Des Moines and all that. So marketing does a great job too, getting things out. A little bit about some of my guiding principles. So working for Marriott was a game changer for me. I'd worked for an independent hotel company based in Peoria, and then they built the hotel in Waterloo and moved me to that. And it was just kind of a hierarchy. There wasn't a lot of training. You kind of self-trained, self-taught. And I learned a lot, no doubt. But when I joined Marriott, it was a totally different world. Number one, I didn't have to worry about my guests checking in a group that I just booked, getting screwed up with catering or their check-in process or anything like that. Because Marriott had so many systems and checkpoints. And their philosophy was always, you take care of your employees first, and they in turn will take care of the customer. And so I really installed that in everything that I've done through my career, going back to Overland Park, to Peoria, to coming to Des Moines, and really treating my team as they were family. And I'm really just doing that. In my team, and I started this in Peoria too, there's an old video, and I think you can still pull it up on YouTube, called Give 'Em the Pickle. And some of you old people like me may remember I don't know if Des Moines or Iowa used to have Farrell's ice cream shops. Farrell's was kind of like a TGI Fridays way back in the day. But this guy was Mr. Farrell. And we had one in Peoria. I know when I was still a kid going to it was just a fun place, But anyway, he does this film on Give 'Em the Pickle. And he had a server one day that was serving a family, and the person said, "Hey, could I get pickles for my cheeseburger?" And he said, "Yeah, I can get them for you, but they're $1." And the guy raised such a stink. He said, "Why on earth would you charge $1 for pickles? Isn't that something you just automatically put on a hamburger, cheeseburger?" And Mr. Farrell got word of it, and he said, "Why are we doing this? Give them the pickle." And it's kind of a funny video, but it really drives home, take care of the customer, give what the customer needs, and going back to hey, take care of the employee. They're going to get that ingrained in their heads. So that was always kind of our philosophy, and it's been kind of a joke around the office too. I also implemented, gosh, this a long time ago. You remember when the book came out, 212 Degrees? Anybody remember that? Go back and read it. So what happens at 212 degrees? Water boils. So when water boils, when water's 211 degrees, it's just hot water. When it boils, it can run a locomotive. It can do so much other, run power companies, da 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 da. So I implemented a thing around our office called the 212 degree committee. And that was really kind of a quality improvement type deal for the team. You know, if we're doing it this way, is there a better way we can do it? And we still use the phrase 212 degree. In fact, now we have awards in our office where we just called it boiled over awards, where people can nominate other staff members for they see somebody doing something above and beyond their job, and we recognize them at a staff meeting, and they get a $5 gift card. So talk about an incentive, yeah. But it works, you know. Just again, patting your people on the back. Our audiences, I talked a little bit about that, ranging from government to religious, corporate, hobby market, education. Good Guys car show, which will be here next week, and I guess the president's going to jump on that too, coming in on July 3rd. But Good Guys will tell you this is one of their best shows they have in the country. That's why they always come back to Des Moines. I think their number one show is one in California, but I can't tell you where it is. Probably your old stomping grounds of San Diego. But we don't compete with them much. So, but anyway, lots of great stuff like that. Sporting events, you kind of know the drill on that. And leisure travelers is a huge thing for us too. We started really focusing on Gen X families, primarily moms, 35 to 50 some years old. They're the ones making the travel decisions for where they're going to take a mini vacation or a long weekend or whatever, and that sort of thing. Of course, locals, you guys are all have power to bring more stuff into Des Moines, what we do. You know, you all belong to national associations or local associations or church groups or family reunions or having a wedding or whatever it is. We're here to help you and here to help you bring that kind of stuff in as well. I always find it interesting too when I interview young people for job openings in our shop. I always, whenever I interviewed, I'd close the interview with, well, you going to hire me? And people just kind of go, well, we've got other people we're going to talk to. But nobody closes the deal anymore. So I think you got to close the deal. Even if they tell you, hell no, you're too short, get out of here. So sales process is all kind of boring stuff. But, our process, we research. So in our business, we've got a database of about 6,000 different organizations, everything from the National Thimble Collector Convention to the Shriners to professional associations, the American Medical Society, on and on and on. So first we'll go back and research because we know the American Medical Society is not going to hold their national convention in Des Moines. That's too big. But we do know that they've got maybe 30 different educational workshops, regional stuff that they do. So we'll pinpoint those and still go after stuff like that. So we research it, we qualify it, we then put it into a lead, hopefully. And then once it's booked, we service that group. I guess I've got a slide for every one of those, which I won't bore you with all that. In our real philosophy, you've all heard about you build the funnel in sales. So the more qualified prospects you can put into that funnel to build that funnel, then obviously the more you can go after and bring into fruition. Oh, and then we service the group too. That was an important part, that not only do we book the business, we have a service team, both on the sports side and on the convention side, that helps that customer. Once they book, they're turned over to services. What do you need? What can we do for you? Find venues for them if they want to do an off-course, off-site meal or whatever it is, whatever it takes. Just follow up with all of their needs as well. I talked a little bit about spreading the word. We call it What's Your Jam? So if you've got any other business out there, all you have to do is shoot me an email and we'll put somebody on it, because that's the business we're in, booking business. Return on investment, we show this to all our elected officials especially. Most of our budget comes through hotel motel tax. So for every dollar we receive in hotel tax money, we return at least $22 back. So not a bad stock buy if you're going to buy that. Little People of America. This is one of the groups near and dear to my heart. 1986, I'm working at the downtown Marriott. I get a phone call from the Convention and Visitors Bureau here in Des Moines, a lady that works there, and she says, Edwards, I got a group for you. And I was like, okay. Little People of America, right up your alley. I said, okay, what do you got? I said, contact so-and-so over at Principal Financial Group. So I call this lady over at Principal Financial. Personality to, like, she's just like, oh my God, I'm so glad you called. And, I'm going to come over and visit with you. And so we set up a lunch. 2 days later, she comes over. She's in a wheelchair. If she could stand, she'd probably be about this tall. But just a huge personality. And she was so excited. We're going to book this thing. We're going to bring this thing. And they had already formed a committee in Iowa of little people with their families. So we started these meetings, and about once a month we'd have these meetings at different people's homes. And they came up with the theme. 88, we were going to bid on 1988. So the tall corn state in 88. Pretty clever, huh? So we put our bid all together, and so we've made it to the final list. We're going up against Kansas City, Des Moines or Kansas City in 88. We got to do a presentation in Dearborn, Michigan, which is where the convention is that year. So I fly in. The group's been there all week. I fly in on Saturday. Our presentation's on Sunday. So my little Iowa friends say, hey, when you get there Saturday night, we're going to be at our banquet down in the ballroom. I said, okay, I'll meet you down there. So I arrive, put my stuff up in my room. I walk down. I open these ballroom doors, and I'm like, I've died and gone to heaven. There's all these little people in there. So I see my group out there, and they're like, oh, Greg's here, Greg's here. So, I go walking out. They're all on the dance floor. I'm out there dancing, and I'm just like looking down. I'm like Wilt Chamberlain, Well, great experience for me. Boosted my ego a lot. We did book the convention. When we did a presentation, the coroner from The Wizard of Oz was sitting in the front row. And my little friend in Des Moines had already warned me, the coroner's going to ask you some tough questions. I said, okay, we'll handle it. So sure enough, we get done with the presentation. The coroner says, I drive a Winnebago. Where can I park my Winnebago? I said, matter of fact, park it right in front of the Marriott. We've got metered parking lots, metered parking right there. The city will be happy to cover those meters for you, and we will reserve that space for you. Kind of blew him away. He was just kind of like, oh, okay. So anyway, we booked the business. I got transferred in 87 to Overland Park Marriott, but I obviously came back for the convention. But I've had a lot of those experiences through my career. I've been very blessed with all that. So.
Amazing.